Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to BioNerd. Today I am discussing NUMS 2023 complete biology paper. So here is the question number 1. Sodium ions are nearly dash times greater in fluid outside the cell than inside. Just recall the topic of nerve impulse, and you know very well that sodium ions are 10 times more abundantly found outside the cell than inside at rest condition. So here the best option will be 10 times. Okay, very easy MCQ. Question number 2. Which hormone includes labor pain? You know very well, oxytocin has receptors on the myometrium, and myometrium is the middle layer of uterus which contain smooth muscles, and smooth muscles are responsible for the contraction of uterus, and that contraction of uterus expel the baby outside the body. So the receptors of oxytocin are present on the myometrium. So oxytocin induces labor pain. Question number 3. Hormone secreted in bulk due to decreased water content of blood is. Just imagine if water content is low in the blood, then what our body want? Obviously our body want to reabsorb the water and increase the water content of blood. So low blood volume or low water content in blood will stimulate the hypothalamus, and hypothalamus will stimulate the posterior lobe of pituitary gland, and posterior lobe will secrete a hormone that is antidiuretic hormone, and this antidiuretic hormone will act upon the kidney in the nephron, specifically to the collecting duct or the TCT, and causes the reabsorption of water. Okay, so the right option will be alpha. Question number 4. Source of production of neurotransmitter is. Okay, recall the topic of synapse. You know very well. The axon terminal is known as presynaptic terminal, and dendrite is known as the postsynaptic terminal. Why? Because nerve impulse always travel from axon to dendrite. So you can see in this picture neurotransmitters are present inside the presynaptic neuron packed in vesicles. So it means neurotransmitters are synthesized in presynaptic neurons. Okay, so here the answer will be presynaptic neuron, that is beta. Okay. Question number 5. Endorphins are produced in. Endorphins are the inhibitory neurotransmitters, okay, and they are produced inside the brain. Okay. Hormone responsible for the production of sperm cells and male secondary sexual characteristics. Very easy MCQ. Testosterone, you know very well, it is responsible for the male secondary sexual characteristics, and it is also responsible for the formation of sperm. So Charlie will be the right option here. Okay, question number 7. Lytic cells are responsible for. Lytic cells are also known as interstitial cells. Okay, and interstitial cells are present between the seminiferous tubules. Between seminiferous tubules. Because they are present between the seminiferous tubules, that's why we call them interstitial cells, and they secrete testosterone. So answer will be testosterone production. Okay. Question number 8. The estrogen hormone secretion during the oogenesis is stimulated by. Just recall the topic of menstrual cycle. You know very well, pituitary gland secrete a hormone which is known as follicle stimulating hormone. When this hormone act upon the ovary, then follicles become to ripen, and ultimately Graafian follicles are produced, and the granulosa cells of follicles are responsible for the formation of estrogen hormone. So here Charlie will be the right option. Question number 9. Which of the following hormones of the pituitary gland regulate the menstrual cycle? So Just emphasize on the word hormones of the pituitary gland, okay, that regulate the menstrual cycle. If we talk about the alpha option here, the estrogen is present. You know very well that estrogen is secreted from the ovary. It is a gonadal hormone rather than it is secreted from the pituitary gland, so alpha will not be the right option, okay. In beta option also estrogen is present. It is ovarian hormone, so it will not be the right option. In case of Charlie, FSH, follicle stimulating hormone, and LH, luteinizing hormone, these both hormones are secreted by anterior lobe of pituitary gland, and they regulate the menstrual cycle, so the right option will be Charlie. Question number 10. Which of the following traits transmitted directly from an affected father to only his son? Very easy. You know very well Y chromosome is present only in males. Y chromosome is not present in mother, daughter, or female or any other. It is present only in the male. So Y chromosome will always be transferred from father to son. So Y linked traits will be transferred from father to son directly. Okay. Question number 11. When both the alleles of a gene pair are same, the organism said to be very easy, homozygous. If both alleles are same, for example, capital R, that is homozygous dominant, or for example, small r, that is the homozygous recessive. So if both alleles are same, then we call it homozygous, and if one allele is dominant, other is recessive, different types of alleles are present, then we will call it heterozygous. So here the answer will be Charlie, homozygous. 12. This theory says that mitochondria and chloroplasts are in fact ancient bacteria which now live inside the larger cells. You had studied endosymbiotic theory. According to endosymbiotic theory, once upon a time, amoeba engulfed our aerobic bacterium, and later on, that aerobic bacterium was converted into the mitochondrion. And when amoeba engulfed cyanobacterium, that cyanobacterium was converted into the chloroplast. So that's why mitochondria and chloroplast both are known as endosymbiotic organelles. Okay, so the right option is delta. 13. The organ which are similar in function but differ in structure are called. Very easy. If functions are similar and structures are different, such organs are called as analogous organs, and these organs are produced in the result of convergent evolution. So those organs which are produced in the result of convergent evolution are called as analogous organs. Alpha is the right option. Question number 14. Which may not be a mode of action of an antibody? So listen, what is the function of antibody? Number one, antibody bind to the antigen and form antigen antibody complex, and that antigen antibody complex is phagocytosed by the macrophages. So we can say that it enhance phagocytosis. Phagocytosis. It means enhanced phagocytosis is the function of antibodies, so it will not be the right option, because he is asking that which may not be the mode of action. It is the mode of action. Okay. Precipitating of an antigen, it is also the action of antibody, and neutralizing the antigen, it is also the action of antibody. All these mode of action are written in the NBF, National Book Foundation. Another method has been written, that is antibodies also activate complement system. Okay, but secretion of cytokine, it is not the function of antibody. Okay, so Charlie is the right option here. Pepsinogen is converted into its active form. I think very easy. You know very well, pepsinogen is converted into pepsin by the action of HCl. So here the answer will be hydrochloric acid. Question number 16. Intrinsic factor is secreted by. You know very well, inside the stomach, parietal cells are present. Yes, inside the stomach, parietal cells or oxyntic cells are present. And these oxyntic cells secrete HCl as well as intrinsic factor. Intrinsic factor is glycoprotein in nature, and it is responsible for the absorption of vitamins and calcium in the intestine. Okay, so here the answer will be Charlie, stomach. 17, the cells which play very important role in developing immunity. So remember, developing immunity mean he's talking about third line defense, and you know very well that in third line defense lymphocytes are the cells which are responsible for developing the immunity, T lymphocyte as well as B lymphocyte. So Charlie will be the right option here. 18, digestion of which food component start from oral cavity? Very easy. In saliva, the major enzyme which is present is the salivary amylase, and it is responsible for the digestion of carbohydrate. So Charlie will be the right option. 19, vaccination is an example of. Just recall the topic of vaccination. What is vaccination? In the process of vaccination, weak germs or dead germs are injected into a healthy person to activate the immune system of that person. Okay, now what we are doing, killed germs or weak germs are injected into the body artificially. It means vaccination is not an example of natural immunity. So it means alpha option is not correct. Beta option is also false, because vaccination doesn't mean natural process. It is an artificial process. And when we inject vaccine, then immune system become activated. So you know very well, when the immune system of person is activated and it start to produce antibodies, we call it active immunity. So here the answer will be acquired artificial active immunity. Okay. 20, the heart chamber from where aorta originates. Very good. Very, very simple. You know very well, aorta receive oxygenated blood and transport to all body parts. Now you know very well, on the left side of heart oxygenated blood is present. So when left ventricle contract, then it pumps blood to the aorta. So here the answer will be left ventricle. 21, pubic symphysis and intervertebral disc are the examples of cartilaginous joint. Which type of cartilage is present here? The answer will be fibrous cartilage. Okay, in these two joints fibrous cartilage is present. Okay, 22, cartilage is more difficult to heal than bone because cartilage lack vascular supply. Very easy. You know very well that blood vessels are not present in the cartilage. Then a question arises in mind, then how it get oxygen and nutrients? In the surrounding areas, blood vessels are present. Nutrients and oxygen diffuse from surrounding tissue to the cartilage and transported to the chondrocytes by the process of diffusion. Simple, but blood vessels are not present in the cartilage, so the diffusion process is slow. That's why the healing process of cartilage is also very, very slow. Okay, alpha is the right option. 23, which feature is absent from cardiac muscles? So the first is intercalated disc. Intercalated disc is present in the cardiac muscles. You know very well, a point where two cardiac cells attach with each other with the help of different types of proteins. This region is known as intercalated disc. So these discs are the character of cardiac fibers. So alpha will not be the right option. Multinucleate cell, it is the right option because cardiac muscle cells are uninucleated. Okay, light and dark bands obviously present because we know that cardiac muscles are striated muscles, so striations are due to light and dark bands. Contractile sarcomere, obviously sarcomere appear due to the arrangement of light and dark bands, so sarcomere is also the characteristic of cardiac muscle. So which feature is absent? So the multinucleated cell, because they are uninucleated. 24, sarcoplasmic reticulum of muscle fiber is mainly responsible for. Very easy, calcium storage, you know very well. When at neuromuscular junction, acetylcholine stimulate the sarcolemma. Ultimately, T tubule is in contact with the sarcoplasmic reticulum. Then sarcoplasmic reticulum release calcium, and calcium is responsible for binding to the troponin and ultimately the contraction of muscle. So alpha is the best option. 25, the junction between two neurons, very easy, beta synapse. We have already discussed presynaptic neuron, postsynaptic neuron. So the junction is known as synapse, okay? But if we ask to you that gap between two neurons, that will be synaptic cleft, okay? Which hormone is chemically a steroid? Simple, cortisone. You have to remember one thing, gonadal hormones gonadal hormones being progesterone, estrogen, testosterone, okay? And number two, adrenal cortex. Adrenal cortex also secretes steroidal hormone, for example, cortisol, aldosterone, corticosterone. So these all hormones are steroidal in nature. So here the answer will be cortisone. Just remember, cortisone is also known as cortisol, okay? 27, underactivity of parathyroid gland causes a drop in blood of calcium. You know very well parathyroid has a link with the calcium, and parathyroid gland secrete parathormone, and parathormone is responsible for transferring the calcium from bone to the blood, okay? So underactivity means the levels of parathormone are low, so calcium will not be transferred from bone to the blood, so drop in the blood of calcium delta. 28, which of the following protein establishes the matrix of bone and cartilage? So the straightforward answer is the collagen. Collagen is the main protein which is present in the cartilage and bone matrix. And just remember, the most abundant type of protein in human body, again the answer will be collagen. Non-competitive inhibitors react with the enzyme at. Here is the problem. In the MCQ, two answers are possible. One is the allosteric site, other is the regulatory site, because allosteric site and regulatory site are interchangeable terms. So both are correct, but obviously we have to choose a single option. So we will take help from our textbook. In textbook you can read, in non-competitive inhibition, the inhibitor molecule binds to an enzyme other than active site. The other binding site of enzyme is called allosteric site. So because here the allosteric site word is present, so we will go with the allosteric site rather than regulatory site. Otherwise both are correct, but we have to choose one option, so we will take help from the textbook. So the alpha will be right option. 30, most enzyme work the best at the following temperature. You know very well, mostly the human body temperature is around 37 degrees centigrade. So the nearest value is here 40 degrees. So 40 degree will be the best option. In term of enzyme action, maximum temperature refers to a temperature at which enzymes start to denature. Alpha will be the right option. Listen here, three temperatures. Optimum temperature is that at which enzyme perform its maximum function, and a temperature at which inactivated enzyme become active again, that is the minimum temperature. And the third one, a temperature at which enzyme start to denature, that is called as maximum temperature. Okay, so alpha will be the right option here. 32, dash reduce the enzyme productivity by blocking the substrate entering into the active site. So the inhibitor which binds to the active site is known as competitive inhibitor, because substrate and this inhibitor both have to bind with the active site, so both compete each other. When this inhibitor is competing with the substrate, so we are calling it competitive inhibitors. 33, when light falls on P700, which event is likely to occur? What you say about the alpha, it induces photolysis. You know very well light induces photolysis, but alpha is not the right option. Why? Why alpha is not the right option? Because you know very well that photolysis takes place at P680, that is photosystem 2. Photolysis does not take place in the P700. Okay, so alpha will not be the right option. Okay, next, when light is absorbed by the P700, then electrons are escaped out and move towards the primary electron acceptor, and P700 become oxidized. So the right option will be delta, it is oxidized. Okay. 34. Which of the following molecules are released after completion of light reaction and then utilized in the dark reaction of photosynthesis? Very, very, very easy. During the light reaction, plant synthesize ATP as well as NADPH. And later on, these two molecules are used in dark reaction. Why? Because NADPH has reducing power. It will reduce the carbon dioxide in dark reaction and synthesize carbohydrate. And ATP has assimilating power. It will help to reduce the carbon dioxide. Okay, so it has assimilating power. Okay, so these two molecules are synthesized in light reaction, but they are used in dark reaction for the reduction of carbon dioxide and to synthesize carbohydrates. So here the answer will be delta, ATP and NADPH. Okay, 35. Which are the end products of light reaction? Same as I've already discussed, ATP and NADPH. These are the two products which are formed during the light reaction and they are later being used in the dark reaction. Okay. 36. Synthesis of ATP during photosynthesis takes place at the region. So little bit tricky. You know very well the synthesis of ATP during the light reaction take place on the thylakoid membrane because all the proteins are present on the thylakoid membrane, especially the enzyme which is directly involved in the ATP synthesis, that is known as ATP synthase. If we see here, this portion of ATP synthase which is involved in converting a molecule of ADP into ATP. Okay, so this ATP is formed in which region? You can see here, stroma of chloroplast. So stroma will be the right option here. Okay, good. Next, 37. The complete, mature and infectious virus particle is called as virion. The virion term is used for virus which is complete, mature and has ability to cause infection. 38. All viruses are parasites. Very good. They are not autotroph because they can't synthesize their food on. They are not heterotroph because they don't obtain food from other cells because they are non-living outside the host cell. So we call them parasite. Okay. 39. Dash increases the pathogenicity of bacteria. Very confusing because two options are also correct in this MCQ. Alpha option, capsule is also the right one, slime is also the right one. Capsule and slime both play a role in pathogenicity. Once again, we will take help our textbook. Here is the picture of Punjab textbook. You can read here very easily that slime, some bacteria are covered with loose soluble shield of macromolecule which is called as slime capsule, and slime provides greater pathogenicity to bacteria and protects them against phagocytosis. So due to this book line we will go with the option Charlie, that is slime. Okay. 40. The smallest known bacteria belong to the genus Mycoplasma. Very easy. What is the size range of Mycoplasma? 100 to 200 nanometers. Okay. 41. Mesenteric veins drain the blood from. Here, two types of mesenteric veins, just remember. One is the superior mesenteric vein and other is the inferior mesenteric vein. Superior mesenteric vein receive blood from the small intestine and inferior mesenteric vein receive blood from the large intestine. Okay, so here the option is large intestine will be the best option. Okay, next 42. Secondary cell wall is in plants present in between the primary cell wall and plasma membrane. Very easy. Secondary cell wall is present between the primary wall and cell membrane. Inside the primary cell wall and outside the plasma membrane, secondary cell wall is present. 43. What distinguishes prokaryotic cell wall from fungal cell wall? Very easy. Prokaryotic cell wall is made up of peptidoglycan, while the cell wall of fungal cell is made up of chitin. So here the option will be beta. Prokaryotic cell wall contain peptidoglycan. Okay. 44. Pollination is facilitated by, very easy, chromoplasts. Chromoplasts are responsible for the different colors of petals or fruits or flowers, and these colors are responsible for the attraction of insects, and insects are involved in the pollination. So chromoplasts are responsible for the pollination. Okay. Tonoplast is the membrane separating, simple. Tonoplast is the membrane of vacuole. So it is separating the cytoplasm and the fluid of vacuole, that is cell sac. So vacuole and cytoplasm. Okay. Each centriole is composed of dash microtubule. Very easy, out of syllabus but very simple MCQ. You know very well that centriole contain 9 triplets. You can see here 9 triplets. Here is the one triplet, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This diagram here also you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so 9 triplets are present here. Okay. 47. The folds of inner membrane of mitochondria are called cristae. Very easy, I think you all know. 48. According to fluid mosaic model of cell membrane, which zone is embedded inside? You can see here hydrophilic region that consists of the heads of phospholipids, they are present on the surface, and which region is embedded inside? So here is the hydrophobic region, which consists of tails of the phospholipid, that is buried inside or embedded inside. So according to fluid mosaic model of cell membrane, which zone is embedded inside? So the answer will be hydrophobic. Yes. 49. Select the one which is not a function of smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Very easy. Processing of glycoprotein, that is the function of Golgi apparatus. Golgi apparatus is responsible for the processing of all the molecules which have to be secreted outside the cell. But the lipid metabolism, transmission of impulses, and transport of material, these all are the functions performed by the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. 50. Cell membrane also contain dash through which movement of material take place both by active and passive transport. So this MCQ is also confusing, but it is the exact line which has been taken from the Punjab textbook. So you can read that line here. Cell membrane also contain charged pores through which movement of materials takes place both by active and passive transport. So here this line you can read easily, exact line of Punjab textbook. So here the answer will be charged pores. According to this line, I am highlighting the word charged pores. You can see here the charged pores are responsible for this one. Done. Okay. 51. Dash are spherical sacs surrounded by a single membrane and contain hydrolytic enzymes. So the answer will be lysosomes. Obviously, hydrolytic enzymes are present inside the lysosome. 52. Most abundant organic compound in mammalian cells are proteins. Because he is talking about the organic compound. If we remove the word organic, then water will be the option. Most abundant compound in the mammalian cell, the answer will be water. Most abundant organic compound in the cell, the answer will be proteins. 53. Thermal stability of organism in the environment is because of which characteristic of water? So the answer will be heat capacity. water has very high heat capacity. What does it mean, very high heat capacity? Because of the hydrogen bonding, water has ability to absorb large amount of heat with minimum increase in temperature. That's why water act as temperature stabilizer. Okay. 54. Carbon hydrogen bonds in lipids are important, providing more energy, because you know very well, you had studied that lipid store double amount of energy. Why? Because they have high proportion of carbon hydrogen bonds and low proportion of oxygen. The last MCQ, these carbohydrates are sweetest among all carbohydrates. Alpha monosaccharides are the sweetest. ओके दैट्स ऑल अबाउट। सब्सक्राइब कर लें, लाइक कर लें, और आपको अगर इससे हेल्प मिल रही है तो इसको शेयर भी कर दें। थैंक यू सो मच, बेस्ट विशेस, अल्लाह हाफिज़।